2026 has already brought us some excellent walking shoes, but there has been some major disappointments as well. So far this year, I've spent €3,400 testing new releases specifically for walking, using them for everything from short trips to the shop to all-day walks. In this video, I'm going through the shoes that have stood out most so far. The best options for continuous walking, the best options for combining standing and walking, the best budget options, and the models that I think have taken a significant step backwards. To qualify, every shoe must have been released in 2026, and let's start off with one of my biggest disappointments so far. That was the Asics Gel Kayano 33. The Kayano 32 was my most recommended stability shoe of 2025. It combined soft cushioning with good energy return, while the 4D guidance system provided noticeable support beneath the arch without making the shoe feel overly rigid. But the Kayano 33 feels very different. Asics has changed the midsole from FF Blast Plus to a combination of this and FF Blast Max, while also altering the stack height. Unfortunately, the cushioning no longer feels as plush, and there's noticeably less energy return when you're walking. The biggest change though is the support system. The 4D guidance system has been removed and replaced by a fluid support system. Rather than providing direct support underneath the arch, the shoe now uses different foam densities to guide your foot outwards, with the aim of reducing pronation moments. Some people prefer this less intrusive approach to stability. However, if you like the Kayano specifically for its arch support, softer cushioning, and smooth feel while walking, the Kayano 33 feels like a significant step backwards. Fortunately, the next shoe is a much stronger update. Moving on to one of the best shoes for continuous walking, the Brooks Ghost Max 4. The Ghost Max 3 was one of the shoes I recommended most often for both standing and walking, but the Ghost Max 4 feels slightly more specialized. Brooks has reduced the weight and introduced a slightly more aggressive forefoot rocker. There's a little less cushioning directly underneath the toes, so you do lose some protection through the front of the shoe. However, the benefit is a smoother transition when you walk, with the rocker helping to roll you forward more efficiently through each step. The cushioning is relatively firm, and that gives you a stable but protective platform. The fit is still good overall, although the toe box is slightly narrower than before. However, it is available in wide and extra wide versions. For those of you looking for a stable neutral shoe with firm cushioning, plenty of protection, and a smooth rolling sensation, the Ghost Max 4 remains one of my top walking shoe recommendations. If your day consists of a mixture of walking and standing, then the next option is a better choice. The Brooks Glycerin 23 is one of the best all-round options for spending all day on your feet. It feels softer, bouncier, and more comfortable than the Glycerin 22, with a little bit more cushioning underneath the front of the foot. That makes it a great option if you spend long periods standing, but still do plenty of walking throughout the day. The cushioning feels protective without being unstable, while the upper is also soft and well padded. It is heavier than the previous version, so it's not my first choice for faster walking, but for nurses, teachers, retail workers, or anyone who wants one comfortable shoe for long days on their feet, the Glycerin 23 is hard to beat. Unfortunately, the New Balance 1080 V15 is one of my biggest disappointments of 2026. The 1080 V14 was a broad, stable, protective shoe that worked extremely well for everyday walking and lifestyle use. The V15 is lighter and bouncier, but in making it feel more like a performance running shoe, New Balance has taken away much of the versatility that we had become accustomed to. The platform is narrower, the toe box feels more tapered, and there's less support around the heel. It's also much more flexible underneath the forefoot, so you don't get that same level of protection. The new Infineon cushioning feels springier and more energetic, which may make the shoe more enjoyable for running, but for walking and standing, it feels less stable and less secure. I think New Balance has deliberately moved the 1080 towards a more running focused role, rather than the versatile option of the past. The next shoe is almost the complete opposite, and it's the shoe that I've used the most so far this year. The Altra Experience Flow 3 is my favourite walking shoe of 2026. However, it's not for everybody. The main benefit of this shoe is the shape. Unlike many walking shoes that taper around the toes, it has a more anatomical toe box that gives the big toe and forefoot more room to spread. That makes it an excellent choice if you have a wider foot, but even for those of you with an average width foot, it still feels amazing to let your toes spread while you walk. The cushioning feels springier than the previous version, but is not overly soft or packed with foam. You still get good contact with the ground, helping the shoe feel stable and natural underneath the foot. It's also a great option if you dislike the unstable feeling you can get from very soft max cushion shoes. But it won't suit everyone. If you're used to heavily cushioned shoes or need a stiff forefoot for pain around the ball of the foot, then this isn't ideal. With all that in mind, it's still the shoe that I use most often. But if you need a shoe that's more structured for long days of standing and walking, then the Hoka Gaviota 6 is my top choice. It feels firmer and more supportive than the Gaviota 5, with a much more controlled platform underneath the foot thanks to its enhanced H-frame. That makes it particularly suitable if you've tired feet at the end of the day or simply prefer a shoe that feels firmer rather than overly soft. It's also noticeably lighter than the previous version, so it's less bulky when you're walking. The upper holds the foot securely. Although the toe box is slightly narrower and more fitted than the Gaviota 5, it's still the widest Hoka model on the market. If you're unsure of what shoe width you need, I do have a free guide that you can download to measure your foot length and width at home in 2 minutes so you know which size to buy online. For people who spend long periods standing and need a high level of support, the Gaviota 6 is one of the best stability options of 2026. Next up is the best budget option of 2026, the Nike Winflo 12. Nike has made it softer, wider and more cushioned than the previous versions. The toe box is more accommodating, the heel feels secure, and the broad platform gives a stable feel when you're walking. It's a strong option if you want plenty of cushioning without paying premium prices. The soft feel works especially well for everyday walking, traveling, lifestyle use, or anyone who simply enjoys a pillow-like sensation underfoot. It may also suit people with higher arches because much of the support is on the outside of the shoe. However, if you have flatter feet and need direct support underneath the arch, there are better options elsewhere in this video. The final shoe on the list is one of the strongest options for those of you who need max stability and max cushioning, and that's the New Balance 860 V15. It's a major change from the previous version, with more cushioning, a wider platform and a much stiffer forefoot. That gives you a very stable and protective feel when you're walking. It is particularly well suited for people with flatter feet or those who need additional pronation control. The toe box is also wider and deeper than before. The rocker and stiff forefoot help to move you through each step without placing much pressure on the big toe or ball of the foot. And despite the extra cushioning, it doesn't feel overly soft or unstable. Instead, it gives you a firm and controlled platform underneath the foot. One of the main downsides is the weight. It is a relatively heavy shoe, so it's better suited to steady daily walks and long days on your feet than faster paced walking. It may also feel too corrective if you have lateral ankle instability or problems along the outside of the ankle. But for someone who needs a spacious, highly supportive and protective walking shoe, the New Balance 860 V15 is one of the strongest stability options released in 2026. So to quickly recap, the Ghost Max 4 is one of my top choices for continuous walking, while the Glycerin 23 is the better all-round option if your day involves a mixture of standing and walking. The Gaviota 6 and New Balance 860 V15 are the standout choices if you need higher levels of stability, while the Winflo 12 gives you the best value if you want plenty of cushioning without paying a premium price. The Kayano 33 and the 1080 V15 are the two updates that disappointed me most, mainly because both have moved away from the qualities that made their previous versions so easy to recommend for walking. But my overall favourite remains the Altra Experience Flow 3. Now, I would really love to know what your favourite shoes were of 2026 so far, and if you've had any big disappointments as well. Let me know in the comment section below. I have links to all the shoes in the description if you want to check out the latest prices, alongside my free foot width guide and monthly newsletter where you get the latest options on deals that are available on your favourite shoes. And if you watch the channel regularly and you haven't subscribed, please do, as it makes a significant difference to us. Otherwise, thank you very much for tuning in once again.